Arkansas, number 17, Texas. Texas, 8.5-point favorite. The over-under I have is 2 references to Texas's playoff outlook. Number 17 ranking was tough for the Longhorns. Real tough. Dropping 7 spots. That doesn't happen if it's a one-score game down the stretch. And it was a one-score game going in the fourth quarter, but when it finishes 35-10 like that, this ranking, number 17 in the latest playoff rankings, and how basically if they had kept it to one score or, lost by 9 or something like that, like I think they're dropping 5 spots instead of 7, and their path to be the first 3-loss at-large team is looking different. Clearly, this is not a scenario in which Texas controls its own destiny. It needs chaos. That probably might not be enough to make the field. And hey, go ask about Ole Miss seemingly having a favorable schedule to reach the playoff and then losing a game at Florida that you probably shouldn't. It stings. It lingers. That's clearly lingering for Texas. We're starting, Will, and I don't know if you've noticed this too, we're starting to see salty Sark. Not, I'm going to beat up a security guard or whatever that person was a couple years ago at the bowl game. Not like that level of Sark, but salty Sark, where he's intimidating at press conferences, man. Like, I told you after the Florida game, I was kind of curious why they went like 9 questions without asking about Arch. And it's because of what Sark has been able to do in these settings where he'll like try a reporter, and it's been sort of brewing for a bit now, salty Sark, which sounds really much like I'm making him a Spice Girl. That's not my intent, but
salty Sark. I like that. The Spice Boy, you're a little spicy out there, Sark.
God, he's getting spicy, man. He's getting spicy. Awkward moment in the presser this week when asked by longtime Texas columnist Kirk Bohls about the Longhorns underachieving. That was the language that Bohls used. And Sark said, according to who? And Bohls referenced Texas being preseason number 1, which Texas was for the first time in program history, okay? Coming off consecutive playoff semifinals. And Sark turned that into, I guess that's into who voted us number 1. If you watch the full answer, Sark then talks about at Texas, you're held to a championship standard. He likes how his team has battled through, injuries with adversity there, blah, blah, blah. And how if they beat Texas A&M, get this, Will, Texas will become the first team to beat 3 top 10 teams in the regular season since 2019 LSU.
Okay, man.
Which, when I heard that, I was like, this cannot be true. This cannot be true that Texas is potentially on the brink. Now, again, we're talking about a hypothetical here. They have not beaten Texas A&M yet, an undefeated Texas A&M team. So we're not adding wins to Texas's total before they happen or anything like that. But I had to look this up because it sort of blew me away. He's right if you exclude conference title games. If you just say the 12-game regular season, technically he is right. Now, other teams have been able to hit that, including the conference title game. Texas is obviously out of the conference title race. Someone fed him that stat and was like, look, maybe his SID is like, we're going to need some stuff because this is coming. When that third loss hits, man, in this era of the college football playoff, as we've seen with Tennessee, as we've seen with a lot of programs, the waters, they get a lot more treacherous. They really do. And salty Sark, ahead of this game against Arkansas, which I promise we'll talk about in a minute here, has definitely come out. And look, you probably just want to say the second part of that answer and not have the, I guess that's into who voted us number 1. Like,
blaming the voters in a subjective sport is very fun. And I don't know, to quote Jules from Pulp Fiction, allow me to retort. Beating a top 10 team in the regular season clearly isn't enough to save your job. Just ask Billy Napier.
Right? It's happened before. It's going to happen again. Go ask Brian Kelly.
Yes, great point. Like, oh my gosh, you beat top 10 teams in the regular season. Hang the banner, dog.
Yeah. Speaking of Brian Kelly, Will, and speaking of those 3 losses, saw this tweet from Matt Fortuna. When Lane went on with McAfee on Tuesday and claimed there was no ultimatum from Keith Carter, no ultimatum to tell Ole Miss whether or not he's staying or going before the Egg Bowl, believe who you want with that. Kiffin also shared that he, Kirby, and Sark are on a group text, and they've come up with an index for how coaches are treated. You ready for this? I don't know if you saw this.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Trust me, I was locked into a pre-recorded Pat McAfee interview the other day, unfortunately.
Who couldn't be? According to this group text, in which these three esteemed head coaches have together, this is how this works now in college football. 1 loss and you're out of the top 10, 2 losses and you're out of the top 25, and 3 losses, you're out of a job. Also of note, Georgia has 1 loss, still in the top 10. Ole Miss has 1 loss, still in the top 10. Texas has 3 losses, still in the top 25. Not sure what metrics they're using. BYU and Georgia Tech are the only 1-loss teams that are out of the top 10. There are no 2-loss power conference teams who are out of the top 25. And Brian Kelly and James Franklin, they both got fired after loss number 3, which is probably the only reason they were fired, right? Like nothing else. No other context we need. It was just simply they didn't win football games, and that's just it. It wasn't.
Yeah, when you lose 3 in like 5 games, it's a little bit different than losing 3 throughout the course of a season, I think.
Like, what are we doing here? What are we just going to pretend that all these losses are just created equally? I was just kind of blown away. Miss me with these guys.
But you know, that doesn't shock me at all of that group chat existing. And I feel like Lane is almost learning how to be a paranoid coaching freak from that chat, because I'm sure there are so many conspiracy theories. I'm sure it's like a Manosphere podcast in there when the rankings come out and it's like, oh, well, they're probably considered this metric you haven't thought of. And like, you know, I'm just imagining, because, you know, they're all part of the Saban tree. Like, what does Sark and Kirby have in common? The group chat's fascinating to me.
Some of these guys, man, just have no self-awareness whatsoever. Like, miss me with coaches on 8-figure contracts with their made-up metrics for why coaches are getting a raw deal. To quote Don Draper, that's what the money's for, okay? What are we doing?
Like, you are the 3rd best school in Texas right now. Like, Texas Tech is better than you. A&M is better than you. And you have likely more money than both of them, which is crazy because they're known for having money. That's kind of the crazy part of it, is that even in Texas, you're the richest team, and that doesn't put you above the money-having Texas teams.
All right, so Sark, I guess you're getting fired, man. Guess you're getting fired. Enjoy your $70 million buyout. It's coming your way. Looking forward to it. Anyway, Arkansas and Texas are playing football on Saturday. As Sark said last year at SEC Media Days, Arkansas fans hate Texas more than they like themselves. I kind of agree. Hey,
this is the rare one where I think Arkansas fans are like, you're good, don't talk about a team. Actually, we'd rather just laugh at Sark. That's just fine.
Yeah. I am going to talk about their team now, Will, because Arkansas is probably still going to lose by 1 score. I mean, let's just pencil that in. Okay. Let's just do that here. Arkansas is 0-6 in conference play this year. They are only minus 25 in scoring margin in conference play. That is almost impossible.
That's nuts, right? Yeah.
Here's what's so nuts about this. I went back to find every SEC team who went winless in conference play since the league expanded to 14 to find what their scoring margin was in SEC play. 2024 Mississippi State was minus 142. 2023 Vandy was minus 202. 2021 Vandy minus 208. 2020 Vandy minus 203. 2019 Arkansas Chad Morris minus 200. 2018 Arkansas also Chad Morris minus 201. 2017 Tennessee with Butch minus 165. 2014 Vandy minus 181. 2013 Kentucky minus 173. 2013 Arkansas minus 168. 2012 Kentucky minus 202. And 2012 Auburn with my guy, Gene Chizik, minus 191. Just for a little perspective here, in case you didn't pick that up from me reading off all of that, with Mississippi State having the lowest, the best scoring margin among those winless in SEC team play since the conference expanded. Last year, I mentioned how weird it was that Mizzou was, as a 10-win team, minus 29 in conference play. How weird that was. Arkansas could, in theory, lose 2 more nail-biters and finish with a better scoring margin in conference play than a Mizzou team that ended up winning 10 games last year. That's what I'm rooting for. I need that. So you know what? Texas wins this one 31-30. Another 1-score loss for Bobby P. Another smashed set of sunglasses. I'm assuming they're still smashed.
Blame the referees. And the cool thing is it doesn't matter. You know, I started to say go for it on fourth down, but we've seen them kind of miss those too. I.e., it doesn't matter what choices they make. Like if you take the field goal, you'll probably miss it. If you go for it, you probably won't get it.
Yeah.
If you get it, you might get a holding penalty. And what's fascinating to me about that list is I often see people say that Vandy is being pushed like an agenda item. There were 3 almost consecutive Vandy teams that were worse in scoring margin than any Chad Morris team. That just goes to show you the job that Clark Lee is doing. I mean, we really can't state it enough. I know people get sick
2 of those were Clark Lee teams, to be fair.
Well, you're right, but you see, he had to install his culture. You see, this is,
True.
you got to win. You got to build the championship brick by brick, And so, anyway, but I'm saying that in terms of like Chad Morris was seen as the gold standard of being terrible. North Texas lost and all that. Vandy was in a bad spot pre Diego Pavia. Let's put it that way.
Really bad spot. Really bad spot. Those numbers, depressing. Very depressing to look at. Minus 25 in scoring margin.
I mean, that's not. I need to actually focus on that. You're so right. That is so nutso. And I don't think I brought this up last time. I saw a vitriolic fight between South Carolina Twitter and Arkansas Twitter about who's the most in hell. And it was one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen. That's why I got that tweet that I pulled up about the Arkansas losses. It is wild how these teams have found a way to lose games with some of the talent they've had, with some of the chances they've had, with some of the plays and playmakers and guys they put in the NFL. And so I hope for better days ahead for Arkansas, a team that has history, a team that we've seen do great things even over our lifetime, and they just deserve so much better than this.
Yeah, everyone deserves better than this. This is college football hell. We will do a pod in the offseason about the teams in college football hell. Trust me, we'll get there. Maybe that'll be a little bit different to dissect with all these different vacancies, and you kind of get out of hell in some ways when you hire a new coach, and that's kind of the point. Penn State no longer in college football hell. But yeah, Texas, I think, should be able to win this game against an Arkansas team that even if Texas sleepwalks, you just trust that Arkansas is going to do stupid stuff in the fourth quarter. And it's probably going to be one of those games in which you're like, oh yeah, Texas does have firepower on offense. They are a fun team to watch, but always kind of beware of that team when it hits that third loss. And who knows if that sinks in for Texas.
Yeah. And another, just real quick, like one of these fun rivalries from like kind of, conferences past that we have been able to enjoy kind of progressively as Texas has joined the SEC, which is again the vitriol that Arkansas feels for Texas. And we brought this up last year, but the way that Pittman was like the quote that you gave about they hate Texas more than they like themselves and all that. And I think that this is a game that was sneaky close last year. Final score notwithstanding, Texas really played tough last year. It was one of those games that it was kind of seen as like the Pittman will we ever get over the hump, because they were able to stay close with a really good Texas team for a while. And so, yeah, to your point, I think that's what this team has a knack for doing, is just keeping fans on the couch, keeping them watching. And again, at this point, you can at least say, hey, if you're invested, I mean, you're really just a masochist. So enjoy it if you do happen to win. And if not, just have a good time. Like after your game, just flush it, forget it, have fun with the fam. Don't punch any walls or anything. It's not worth it at this point in the season.
Should Arkansas fans start watching games in Spanish?
Now that's a good idea. Hit that SAP button, get some really colorful commentary to where like maybe you don't know what the penalty is. Maybe you just never know. I think that's a good way to do it. In the same way that I never watched 2020 LSU Alabama, just never hear it, and it never happened.
Just change up the vibe, something that at least it's a kind of a fun call and not a torturous call when you don't understand every single word of what's happening and your eyes can only see it. Just a different form of torture that would be to watch these games in Spanish. When I had my Sling TV day pass, there, for whatever reason, one of the defaults was, and I'm sure like people that are listening to this might have experienced this as well during the YouTube TV dispute. But there would be like the default channel a lot of the times when you click on a game would be in Spanish. Be like, why is this the default option to click on the whatever the ESPN game was, and it would go directly to Spanish when I would try and click back to the other game. It was very frustrating. And so I would always hear like 5 seconds of Spanish before I'd flip back. But maybe I should start listening to games in Spanish. Who knows?
Or of course in Spanish is veraco. Or if you want to go literal to razor back, let's see. That would be Oh, I had a fun one. Oh well, never mind. But yeah, it's not a word in Spanish, razorback. So los veracos is who you'd be watching.
Yeah, whole lot of basura in this game.
Whole lot of basura in español.
Yeah, see.